Okay, I think we are underway. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want to let you know right off the bat that I'm going to have a second separate, especially since it's early Saturday morning, and I think I picked a bad time for students. I've been trying to get a mix of during the day, during the work day, on the weekend, late at night, or in I shouldn't say late at night, but early evening, so that I can make myself available to students who might not otherwise have the opportunity to attend one of these, who would like to attend one of these. It's certainly not mandatory, and I hope you're at least watching these before you study for the exams or before you complete studying for the exams. But in any event, um, I'm going to just focus on corporations on this particular day because we have corporations next. If you do have a question related to, if you're studying ahead and you do have a question related to the section on small business entities, feel free to go ahead and give it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this one live. Of course, it's being streamed on the class YouTube channel and recorded there so that you can watch it later if you'd like. But I will follow this one up later, probably later today, but not necessarily later today. And again, it'll be on the class YouTube channel in the live section, and I'll have one related strictly to small business enterprises. I'm not going to do that on this one, so it'll be a little bit shorter. Um, I'm wearing my Kentucky hoodie. That's my team. So I'm pretty pumped because last night they played the number one team in the preseason number one team in the country in basketball, Purdue, and Kentucky defeated them. So it was a good night for Kentucky fans. In fact, I have a Kentucky sports report. I'm a part of that, and we had a nice Zoom chat after the game last night, dealing with folks from all over well, I should say all over the world. I was in Japan this past summer and actually met a Kentucky Sports Report member, a good friend who I've known for 20 years on sports message boards, and I met in person in Tokyo. So how about that? Anyway, Kentucky's my team. All right, I'm not going to bore you anymore with that. With that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with the corporation's materials. I am in the process currently of preparing the exam. I have not completed at all preparing the exam, but I do have some things that I want to go over with you. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm not sure this actually helps, but at least it gets the focus off of me, which I'm sure you're very happy with. Corporations has a lot of material. We and by the way, I noticed the UJA links had not been corrected. I corrected them this morning, so all the YouTube links should be now working in your module on the corporations lecture one, lecture two, lecture three, the C corporation versus S corporation. Um, lecture as well. The little bonus lecture, I think it's about 8 minutes long. It wasn't too terribly long, and I think that lecture two and lecture three weren't very long at all. But there is a lot of material in corporations. I will grant you that there's a lot of material in this one. So hopefully I can focus on some things of particular interest with there. Um, and we're going to do small businesses next, and this really accumulates into small businesses. So don't be surprised to see some corporation questions on the small business exam the week after next as well. Some of the things that I think are going to be important for you to know are things like how is a corporation organized now under Alabama law? What documents control? What exactly do they do? Um, what hats is what I call them. What hats do people wear as the owner, shareholder, director, and employee? This is something that my very small business clients struggle with at times because they kind of run the whole show. It's either a mom and pop organization, and maybe they've got a convenience store or whatever, and they're doing well, but they sign documents and leases and purchase agreements and all kind of things, and they're not sure how they're signing it. Do you sign it as a shareholder of a corporation? Do you sign it as the director of a corporation? Do you sign it as an officer or other employee of the corporation? Which ones have the power to do certain things? Which ones have the power to make changes in the articles of incorporation or certificate of formation? Which ones have the powers to approve a dissolution or merger or acquisition or sale of substantially all of the corporation's assets? Um, which ones have the power to elect the board of directors? Which ones have the power to appoint the officers and determine their salary? Which ones have the power uh, to do things like run the day-to-day operations of the corporation? So you need to know kind of what those kind of things are. Um, Taxation issues. I know it's not a tax class, but by the way, those of you that really, forget all this tort stuff. I took the class because I wanted to learn about business law. Well, here we are. We're smack dab in the middle of hardcore business now, and that includes taxation. Again, it's not a tax class. I get that. I've taught tax classes, and they're not nearly as much fun as business classes, but it's a necessary evil that you need to learn some basics of that. What's the difference? How is a C corporation taxed? How is an S corporation taxed? What does flow through tax entity actually mean? What happens when a corporation earns money, has income? Who's taxed on that income? Is it the corporation? Is it the shareholders? Is it both? Does it depend upon certain things like a tax election, a C corporation and an S corporation tax election? It does. So you need to know how to do that, and I would advise you need to know how to calculate it as well. A basic calculation is not anything terrible. If I put something like that on the exam, I'll give you a tax rate that's easy to multiply and that kind of thing. Liability protection. That's one of the main reasons that a lot of people think that people form corporations for tax reasons. Sometimes, sometimes that's a side benefit. But it's generally not the main reason you do it. The main reason you do it usually is for liability protection. Uh, a shareholder generally doesn't have personal liability for corporation activities. Directors generally do not have personal liabilities. But what are the exceptions to that? What about piercing the corporate veil or the alter ego theory? How do those things work? What are protections available to them in case they make a bad decision as a board of director member? What's the business judgment rule works? How does that protect them? Conflict of interest rules. Can someone deal with the corporation? My clients, it happens all the time. Are they doing it right? They own property personally. They own property and they lease it to the building, and the building pays them a lease rate every month. Is that proper? It's a conflict of interest. By definition, that's a conflict of interest. The individual doesn't have the same interest as the corporation. They want the corporation to pay as much as possible. The corporation should want to pay as little as possible. That's a conflict of interest by definition. Is that okay? Can it be okay? If it can be okay, how can it be okay? Things like that you'll have to think about with that. How about I mentioned a minute ago about the hats that they're wearing. Um, how are these decisions being made? They're being made at meetings, right? Board of director meetings or shareholder meetings. Well, what's required in order to hold a meeting? What's required in order to pass certain corporate action on behalf of the shareholders or behalf of the board of directors? How does a quorum work? And why am I so picky on these things? Well, I mean, here's the thing. You screw something like that up and it's not documented properly, then all of a sudden you can be held personally liable. One of the things that's involved in piercing the corporate veil is failing to follow corporate formalities. You don't hold a board of director meeting correctly. You don't give the right notice. You don't have the right number of people there. You don't have the right number of people voting in favor of something. Any of those things that get screwed up, guess what? Business judgment rule is not going to help you. All of a sudden, you can have folks that can pierce the corporate veil and you can be personally liable. And that's not a good thing. And think about it this way. A lot of people really don't understand because they're thinking about small corporations, and those are generally the ones that are my clients as well. But let's extend it to Walmart. Walmart Corporation is no different than um, Jack and Jill Convenience Store Corporation, owned by husband and wife, two shareholders, and they have $200,000 a year of revenue and $150,000 of expenses, and they make $50,000 net income for the year. But they're a corporation, just like Walmart is. Walmart is a corporation. So Walmart gets sued for something, or Jack and Jill Corporation gets sued for something. And Jack and Jill Corporation, maybe they don't have any assets. They lease the building. They've got, I don't know, $10,000 worth of inventory, but nothing else in the business. No real money in the bank. Worst case scenario is Jack and Jill Corporation gets sued for $1 million. Okay, the corporation goes under. But is Jack going to be responsible for that $1 million? Not if everything's done right. Is Jill? No, not if everything's done right. And the reason I mention Walmart is it makes a lot of sense. It's easy to see in Walmart. You or I decide we're going to invest in Walmart, right? We buy some shares of stock in Walmart. I don't know what it's selling for. I sometimes go to Walmart and I think they've got like in the back near the restroom, they've got a daily stock thing. It's been a while since I've been back there, but maybe it's $80 a share. Maybe you buy 10 shares for $800. Well, guess what? You are a shareholder of Walmart. You are a part owner of Walmart. Yeah, it's a very, very little part, but you're a part owner. Now, what if Walmart gets sued for a gazillion dollars and they're about to go under? Are you going to be liable for some part or all of that gazillion dollars? Of course not. Now, you might lose what you put into it. Your stock might end up being worthless, but you're insulated. You have personal liability protection, just like Jack and Jill Corporation does. So you have to understand kind of how those things work as well. Um, let's see. I'm looking or subchapter S corporation rules. You need to know how those kind of things work. Um, and again, I'm going to focus on my specifics as well. But let me see. I've got some more little notes here. I guess that's about it. I will ask if you have any questions. And I think we've got one student here this morning. Happy to see you. Glad to see you. You don't have to ask questions, but you're welcome to ask questions. Again, remember that this is being streamed on the class YouTube channel and recorded for everyone to watch at their convenience, hopefully before Wednesday, hopefully a lot before Wednesday. I get today's college football Saturday and all that kind of good stuff, and maybe you'll get back and study on Sunday, so tomorrow. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask the questions. Otherwise, I'll take a sip of coffee and wait, and then let you let you get to your day. And then I'll get back to writing your exam. Okay, not having any questions today. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Remember to be looking, you don't have to worry about it now, but sometime next week, be looking for the separate one. I'm just going to record one little thing, little video like this one for small business enterprises. So there will be one on there. I'm not including that in the back half of this. We're going to go ahead and close this today. Have a great Saturday. And if, as always, if there's anything I can do to help you in the class, please let me know. Good luck with the next exam, and I'll see you next time.